Right, we are live. Hello, everyone. I hope you can
All
see us and
right.
hear us well. We might be having a little bit of internet issues this afternoon, but we'll just deal with it. It'll be fine.
We'll make it
Oh,
work.
right. So I just heard myself for a moment in my headphones, but I closed the YouTube, so it's playing on YouTube, which is great.
Okay.
So welcome, everyone. I'm Susanna. I'm the founder of Larabelles, and this is our second Larabelles live chat. This one we will be talking all about conferences. So I invited Ian because he's the man behind Laracon Online, among other things as well. And we also have Diana Scharf, which is a developer from Germany, and she's working for Beyond Code. And Shruti Balasa, which is the developer from India. And now I'm not sure, Shruti, do you work for yourself or are you employed? I'm not actually sure.
Yeah, I'm self-employed.
Self-employed. So amazing. So today we will be talking about conferences. I thought, because I mean it has been brought to my attention, I think everyone noticed that quite a few conferences have mainly male speakers. And I was wondering, first of all, why that is, and second of all, what can we do about it? So I thought we'll just bring in people together to have a nice friendly chat. Before we do that, I did the short introductions, but do you feel like saying a little bit about yourself too, Diana, or go for it, say something.
Okay, so like you said, I'm Diana. I'm from Germany, specifically from the pretzel country, from Bavaria, where all the good beer is coming from. And yes, I'm just started a few months ago working for Beyond Code, and before that, I worked in different companies, but mainly Laravel, and sometimes it was front-end specific, but I'm more of a back-end person. And even if I did some speaking in live conferences, not really, but some events, I never did at a tech conference like Laracon or something. So no experience at all.
Right. Shruti, what about you?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Shruti from Bangalore, India. I'm a full stack web developer, mentor, and recently course creator and YouTuber. Yeah, I have given a lot of talks live, but not tech, more of motivational stuff and life. Just sharing my experience in life and everything. Tech-wise, I have had a couple of appearances at meetups, but mostly online because that started after the whole COVID situation. But yeah, not a big conference like Laracon, so looking forward to that one this year.
And Ian, what about you?
Yeah. So I have a company called Userscape. We make a product called HelpSpot. And then in addition to that, we are involved in a lot of the Laravel community with Lara Jobs and running Laracon. My conference experience is, I've attended a lot of conferences, live conferences over the years. I don't even know, 100 at least, probably, maybe more. And I've been a speaker at a few live conferences, and then have run, I guess, 2 live Laracons and 6, I think, Laracon Onlines. So yeah, so some experience there, but still a lot to learn. There's, there's a lot going on in the conference space just this past year. So much has changed in the conference space with obviously COVID and everything. So it's been interesting to see all that, and kind of with Laracon, how we were so many like conferences of this size, and then obviously there was a lot this past year. So, but anyway, my internet is acting up apparently. So hopefully everybody on the stream, I'm not too choppy for you. We'll see how it goes.
Thank you. And something about me. So I haven't given a technical talk. Well, no, I have, but not at a conference. I've done few meetup talks, and I've done a talk about. So the technical ones were really at the meetup, and then I did another one like how I got into web development, but nothing as big as Laracon, nowhere near as big. And I haven't even been to in-person live Laracon because, yeah, first of all, past year it hasn't been possible. Second of all, it's not been possible financially. It's going from the UK, flying over to the US, and even within Europe, so you have to go to the ticket, accommodation. So I just haven't been around. Yeah, I wish I will hopefully be able to do it in the future, but just haven't been able to yet. But yeah, so I thought, since you all said your experience with conferences, because that was one of my questions, if you've already been a speaker or not. So we know that all three ladies, although we have some experience with public speaking, not necessarily technical or anything at the scale of Laracon. So I thought I'll ask you, Ian, first, what is that goes on into organizing a conference? So can you give us like a short overview what goes into it?
Yeah, so it's a lot of work for sure, especially live ones are a tremendous amount of work because you just have so many moving parts with like venues and vendors and food, and you need a bunch of people to like, and you need to give them their, get their tickets and give them lanyards and security and all that stuff. So the live one is a huge amount of work. The online one is still a lot of work. Obviously, like finding speakers, organizing the tech, being stressed about the tech, the website, all those things. So it's still a lot of little detail. Just following up with people, finding sponsors, all that stuff that goes into making it possible. And we take, it takes 3 to 4 months usually. For this, I've started early, so I mean we're like 6 months ahead of it, where I've just started right away. So yeah, so it's not full time because, like I said, I have this kind of my main business, but every week for the next 6 months, I'll be doing Laracon work of one sort or another along the way. So yeah, it's a pretty big undertaking.
So for like when you ask or when you open the call for submissions, for talk submissions, what do you do? So when people fill in the form, what happens then? Do you go through the submission straight away? Do you let them, or how do you look? And when you read it, what goes through your mind?
Yeah, so we're kind of new to the talk submissions. So what we had done up to like last year was basically kind of people in the Laravel community, like informal, and we were just like people sort of we knew in the community for the most part would be speaking, and then that we just kind of outgrew that. That's also boring, right? Like you're seeing the same people all the time. So last year we opened up for talk submissions, which didn't go quite as well as I planned, but we made a lot of changes for this year, and it's already so much better. And so, but to your question, what I look at, so basically there's a deadline to submit. So I haven't looked too closely at them yet. Like I've scanned them just to kind of see what's coming in and just get the general vibe. And this year is super good. So it's going to be a really amazing conference this year. But yeah, so what I'm looking for primarily is like, so different conferences are very different. Traditionally, except for the past one, but generally we don't have like a specific theme. And especially since it's Laravel, we kind of take the view that like people are working in a lot of different aspects in their job, right? Like they're not just doing Laravel. Most Laravel developers are not literally only doing Laravel. So they're on the front end some, they're in meetings and things like that, management items and all kinds of different things. Obviously like project management and system design and all sorts of different human interaction. So we kind of take a little bit broader view of it. And so we like to balance the conference that way and have a variety of different types of talks. Laravel stuff, and you're going to have Taylor doing what's new. And then beyond that, maybe there's Tailwind talks. Maybe there's different front end talks. We've had different soft talks. We've had marketing talks. So we're pretty open to anything that, might impact your sort of mainstream really software developer. Obviously, we're kind of focused in the Laravel community, but really, web development, anything that kind of touches on web development, even tangentially, is good. Like there's a talk that I think we're likely to have that's going to be on writing great documentation. So that's just a really interesting topic. I've never seen anybody give a talk on that actually, and like how to structure your documentation, how to write great documentation. So that kind of thing where it's not, PHP and coding, but it's a super critical part of building software, obviously, and maintaining software.
You said there's been a difference, like this year you've got, or this time, not this year, this time you've got many more applications. What do you think has changed? What do you think, have you done anything differently this time to compare to the other times? And when you say that's been many, is it like there's been many more applications or different kinds of applications?
Yeah, so like I said, so we've only done one time where it was open talk submissions. And I think we just made a ton of mistakes. One, we had this very narrow theme. So the talks were an hour long, which I think kind of dissuaded people. We had a very narrow theme on like the internals of Laravel. So it's unlike every other Laracon we've ever done, which was like as I described, where it was very broad. That one was not. And then also we started kind of late. And so there wasn't a lot of time for people to submit a talk. And I think that obviously wasn't great. So this time we've done everything different. So like I said, we're 6 months out. We've given a month-long window basically for people to submit a talk. I'm here, right? Like we're outreaching in different places to try to really drum up support, which and submissions into it, which has worked really well, both in the quantity of submissions already, but also the quality, I think, is better than the last time we did open submissions. So yeah, I'm super happy. Like it's gonna be a hard job for me this time because there's a lot of good submissions. Just even in my just as they come in, just quickly eyeballing them, gonna be a lot of tough decisions, I think, this time. So
that's actually
the other thing we did. I did want to mention this too. The other thing we did is I just want to say the other thing we did to kind of make it more approachable, I think, is that we added lightning talks, which is the first time we did lightning talks. And I think that's really huge because, like you said, I mean, I think it can feel intimidating, right? That Laracon has, 5,000 attendees and, it
no pressure
can be imposing and coming up with, an hour-long talk, right? An hour-long talk for 5,000 attendees. Pretty big thing. So I think a 10-minute talk is much more approachable. People can envision themselves getting up and talking for 10 minutes, right? So I think that's going to be better. And also the kind of are 30 minutes. So even those are not the kind of hour-long commitment that it was last time. So I think that those are all been really good changes that have just made it more approachable.
Diana and Shruti, I think both of you, have you either submitted a talk or about to submit the talk? Am I right?
Yeah, I just did submit. Yeah.
So what made you submit the talk this time as opposed to any other times?
Actually, this is the first time I even saw the that the applications were open. Previously, I never noticed. So it just didn't appear to me, right? I just knew that, okay, Laracon is happening next month and applications were probably closed or maybe they were not even open. Like I just figured out from Ian that it's just one time before that they opened it. So, and yeah, particularly the lightning talk was what made me feel, I think I can talk for 10 minutes and it's not purely just code. It's about anything. That's what motivated me.
And Diana, what about you?
I think it's quite the same. I didn't get that last year's submissions in my timeline or whatever. But even the years before, I wasn't that active in the Laravel community. I developed with Laravel, but I didn't thought about conferences and whatever. But this is dependent on the company you work with, I think, as well. And so this year I'm still working on my submission, and I will send it in the next few days, I think. And what I was thinking about the new format of the lightning talk, I think if you do a conference online, then it's more exhausting to follow and more difficult than when you're in person at a stage or something. And so I think it's better when we have like shorter talks. The people are really present when they listen to you. And yeah, it would be interesting how this changes if we can hopefully be at a real conference like in person, if we have some other formats then as well.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's for me as well. It was the so I submitted a talk as well.
You broke it.
So, have I broken down? Can you hear me? Yeah. So I've also submitted.
You're good.
I've also submitted a talk, and for me it was the lightning talks. That 10 minutes, hopefully, hopefully I would be able to talk. Oh, we lost Shruti for a moment. Anyway, so I'm hoping like 10 minutes should be okay to fill in space with whatever. But the other thing is, I think with conferences, a lot of the time when you look at conferences like in the past, they have quite a lot of technical and advanced technical talks. And I think it's nice to have technical, but maybe like talks for beginners as well, beginner friendly, because like the audience is, you've got all sorts of people. You don't have only like advanced senior engineers there. You have, oh, Shruti says, hold on, adding Shruti back to stream. So I think it definitely helps to have not only like different length of talks, but also different, levels of talks, because it's definitely easier to prepare a talk on a more beginner level than go deeper into something. And I think it also would benefit the viewers because that's my thinking.
Yeah, I think the shorter talks are, even for advanced topics, the shorter talks are kind of interesting because they force you to really edit yourself, right? And like edit down to something that you can do in 30 minutes, which is kind of interesting as well, even for advanced topics. But yeah, no, I think that the lightning talks are going to be awesome. We might even add more. That's been something I've been kicking around because like, I mean, look, we're going to have 3 submissions right here, right? So right now I had planned on doing 5, but I think we might do 10 or something like that, or maybe something in between. I have to look at the schedule, but because that's been really popular. I think it was about 40% of the talk submissions when I looked were lightning. So a lot of interest in them for sure. And that might be something that we do there, is expand that a little bit. But yeah, one of the nice things about online too is that, like you were saying, is when the different levels, people can, so there's like the live stream, right, where you're just watching the show as it progresses. But a lot of people actually end up watching a lot of Laracon after in the videos, because they either can't watch the stream live or they can't watch the whole stream live. So they can still kind of select what they're interested in even later on through the videos. So, and that would be something I did want to point out too, just before I forget, while I kind of touched on it, is everybody should definitely check out the videos. If you go to laracon.net, there's a link to the videos of all the past years. And so I think that's, anybody who's like wondering about what it's like or anything like that, I think it's kind of useful just to see what people have done in the past with it. And you can watch some of those for free just up on the site.
So about the submissions, I was going to ask, so when you look at the talk, do you just think of the topic? So when you look at the submitted talk, do you only consider the topic? Do you think of the speaker as well? What is it that, makes you decide who you're going to pick?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a number of factors. I mean, definitely the talk obviously has to be on a topic that's, relevant to the community and things like that. Like I said, I mean, it's pretty broad, but still you do sometimes get submissions that are just not relevant at all. And so obviously those, we wouldn't do. But then, yeah, I mean, then it's trying to like the kind of thing after that is balancing it between all the different factors, right? Like we want to have diversity. We want to have both. We want to have also a diversity of like different topics as well. So like we don't want to do on Laravel Blade or whatever, right? Like, or on Tailwind or whatever. Like, so balancing that all out to make sure that, yeah, just that it's a balanced show, that, right? That there's all different topics, different levels, different ideas, different, my like, oh no, hold on,
Oh
hold
no.
on. Technical difficulties once again.
Are you okay?
I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, what's happening to me? I'm like falling here. Right,
It was really
let's see.
interesting, like seeing you fall.
Ian moving.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I'm not moving. What's going on? Okay. All right.
So I have
Hopefully
another
it's
question
11
about
that
the talks.
Yeah.
Oh, so I was wondering, do you offer any support? So, for example, when it comes to talk submissions, so there might be first-time speakers. There probably will be first-time speakers. Do you offer any sort of support to the first-time speakers?
Yeah, so we have not in the past done anything in particular for them, although I've certainly, answered questions with people. We do, I work with people on if they have like questions as they're developing their talk. We go through a technical check, which also ends up being more of like, just a discussion where we talk about what's going to go on in the talk. So we are supportive in that way, but we haven't done like a formal first talk support system. But I would certainly be open to helping anybody who's got questions or is nervous about it. Anybody's nervous about submitting, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody, or if they want to run the talk idea by me, if they have questions about what it's like. And I think we should go over a little bit of what it's like here as well. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm available. Ian@userscape.com. You can email me. Obviously, I'm on Twitter and everywhere else. So definitely feel free to reach out if you have questions about what it's like, or if you decide to submit a talk and you're chosen and you're nervous about that. And I'm happy to obviously work with the speakers and make sure it's a great talk, because we want you to succeed up there, right?
Diana, I was wondering, and both of you, Diana and Shruti, so if these are our first technical talks, is there something you would like as a support? Is there something you would, appreciate from the organizers? Can you think of something?
Maybe some things to know, a list of things that we could keep in mind. Maybe the kind of people who are the attendees or anything like that, because we haven't even attended Laracon conferences, right? So we would like to know some things to take care of, right? Some pitfalls.
Things to remember. Yeah, things to remember.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah, why don't we just talk about that a little bit here, right? So, part of, right, more intimidating when, like, thinking about it is more intimidating in some ways than the actual act of doing it. I think, especially online, I think doing a talk online is actually quite a bit less stressful than live, because it's just you. We've all been Zoom with everybody for a year, so you've got we're comfortable here now, for the most part. So you're not looking out and like, oh my God, there's 5,000 people in a giant room, like, and I'm on stage in a huge arena. Like, no, it's just like you're looking at your slides and you're talking to yourself.
I disagree.
So if anything, one of the things that's tricky is just that you don't have feedback.
Exactly.
What's that?
Yeah, I disagree.
No,
I feel looking at people, you at least know that, they're watching you, they're listening to you, they're there, as against you're just talking to a computer.
Well, that part.
Yes, because I gave.
Yes, so that's the flip side.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're lagging, so I just started talking.
Lack of feedback is definitely one of the downsides for sure. So I was definitely going to mention that. Like, on the one side, there's not the like thousands of eyes looking at me, but on the flip side of that is like you tell a joke and you're not going to get any response, or there's no feedback from the audience, right? So that part is definitely a challenge with it. Definitely a challenge. And there's not really, I mean, we've actually researched this a little bit. Like there are some tools that let you do it more, but.
Yeah. Diana, what were you going to say? Sorry.
Just wanted to say that I feel like Shruti because I gave a speech in front of a couple hundred people a few years ago, and it was okay. It was really exciting, but it was okay. And I'm so nervous in the stream because I mean I see your faces. This is good, but if I would do a conference talk, I would see nobody and no feedback, and I'm just. Is everybody hearing me? Is everybody seeing me? And in real life, it's kind of obvious, but I would be so nervous if I give just an online talk with no feedback at all. So I just thought about last Laracon, Marcel did this WebSockets talk and this confetti thing. It was so great because there was a feedback, even if it broke.
Right.
Yeah, even it crushed everyone's computer.
Even if we crushed it.
I think the thing about
is tricky. I have seen some tools that do.
No, go on. Talk.
I was just gonna say that we have looked at it a little bit and seen some tools that have like things popping up and stuff, but I don't know. I haven't seen any solutions that I really love. But yeah, I would say for that, my advice would be to try to speed up. It could be 6 people you know, put out a tweet that says, hey, who wants to watch my talk, and get 10 people.
I think Caleb does
and
it,
then
doesn't
just
he? I think
your talk just like you're going to, where you don't see anybody's face and all that.
Yeah, I think Caleb Porzio, he does it with his talks. Like I've managed to catch 2 of his pre-conference talks, and it was, I suppose it's a good way to kind of ease into it, if that's even possible.
Yeah, exactly. Just to get that experience of like talking for half an hour with no feedback. And to get a little more comfortable with that.
What I was always wondering is there any sort of code of conduct when it comes to conferences? So Laracons and then specifically online conferences. Do you have anything written down anywhere?
Yep, we have a code of conduct.
Well,
right,
where
go
is
to Laracnet.
Right, so it's somewhere on the website. Okay.
Oh, right at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yep, Laracon.net, right at the bottom.
Yeah, code live from comments. And Ian is freezing every now and then, unfortunately, but we are trying to work through it. So when it comes to the code of conduct, I was wondering, when it comes to online conferences, is anyone watching the comments, like what's going on in the comments? Or like, do you have anyone reading the comments? Or in other words, how do you make sure that people don't get abused in the comments?
So we have like the Zoom commenting completely turned off. So there's no commenting. And then the only place to officially comment is we have like a forum, a discourse forum, and that is moderated. And that tends to be, get some light traffic, but we make sure, everybody's cordial in there. And we've never had any issues. People do then also build their own Telegram groups. There's Discord. There's all, whatever. People are congregating other places that are not part of the conference. So those obviously, I mean, I've never heard of any trouble in any of them either. But in terms of the official places to chat at the conference, it's only on the chat area, which is a discourse server. And and that is moderated by us. And I don't think we've ever had to take anything down at all. But yeah, we do monitor that just to make sure there's, no trouble. And luckily, so far so good on that front.
So far, yeah.
But absolutely, our code of conduct is pretty strong on that in terms of any type of harassment or anything like that. You're just obviously ejected instantly.
What would you do if somebody says something inappropriate? What would you do, or what would somebody on your team do?
Yeah, I mean, obviously take it down, remove the person from the discourse server, remove their ticket so that they can't access Laracon, and boot them from the stream. They can't comment on the stream, but obviously they would be removed from the conference in any event. And yeah, that would be it. And obviously you could never reattend or anything like that. Certainly permanently banned.
What about live? So you said you've done few live conferences too. What would happen? Well, what would happen if that happened in a live conference? Like if there was some issue there, has anything happened? Are you
Yeah, I
over?
think the same thing. No, we've never had the two I did. We never had anything like that. I do think the online conference is a lot nicer in this regard. I just think, especially the way we run it, there's not that much. There's just not that many touch points to have that kind of interaction. People drinking or things like that. So we've never had any trouble at Laracon in the 2 I ran. I don't think Taylor has since either. But yeah, I mean, we had the biggest issue we had once was people trying to break into the conference who didn't have a ticket. And so we had to like eject them and like get security and tell them they can't come into the conference. So that was sort of exciting. But like, this is why I like the online conference because like, you know, it's like I'm in the middle of running the conference and like people are trying to break in and I have to like get security and kick out the people trying to break in. So it's like stuff like that. It's not my favorite. So the online conference doesn't really have that same exact type of vibe. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, I don't know. I think that was probably just a random event, but
I was also wondering, like, that's probably more applicable to the live conferences, but if there is any woman representative, because if there is some sort of harassment and then a woman needs to go and talk to another man about it, it might not be, you know, the best thing for her to do. Do you plan to have, or so you're not involved in the, are you still involved in the live Laracons or not at all? Not at all.
No,
You know?
no.
So I was just
we
wondering
did
whether...
have women representatives at the live Laracons I ran. So they definitely, but yeah.
Okay, sorry, you keep breaking up. Trying to guess what you're saying.
Oh.
Is it just me, or it might just be me as well? No.
No, same for me.
Same here.
Okay, so I was also, ladies, you can ask questions too. It doesn't have to be always me, you know, just saying. But is there anything you would want to be done to make you feel safe and welcome at a conference? So whether it's live conference or online one. Shruti?
Yeah, I think if it was live, we might have, you know, it would be nicer to see more women speakers in the panel. But I think since it's online, it might not make so much of a difference. That's what I feel. What about you, Diana?
Yeah, I think quite the same. It's in the one case, it's the speakers, especially online. But if it's in person, then it's more comfortable if you have like more women in the audience. It's quite good as well. And besides that, I never felt like I couldn't apply for a Laracon or submit a talk. And I think the Laravel community is quite has quite a good harmony in this. I never experienced anything bad there, so I think I would go for Laracon if I could, like in person, and I would be totally happy with it.
Yeah, that's me too. I think we are so. I mean, the Laravel general community is great. I mean, even we can see even on Twitter if there is anything going on, it quickly gets. If there is anyone like misbehaving, it quickly gets taken care of. Sure. But like Diana said, I think having not just women speakers, but also women in the audience would definitely help. Yeah, go on, Ian.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. This is why I was so excited with Larabelles, because I just think it's just going to be such a great initiative for the community and to kind of create a sort of hub where we can continue to foster women developers and in the community at all the different levels, right? From just being part of the community to attending conferences to speaking at conferences and so on. So
yeah, The other thing I wanted to ask is like
over the next.
Sorry, yeah, like you freeze on my screen and then you unfreeze and you talk. It's kind of hard to know when to start talking without having to, cutting you off. Sorry, every time I cut you off, I don't mean to. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna try something here.
Now you muted yourself, by the way. If you're saying anything, can't hear anything.
I think he's trying to switch network or something. Yeah.
Okay. No. So what do you think? Like, so now you two have already either submitted a talk or about to submit a talk. What else do you think we can do for maybe, if not this Laracon, the next Laracon? What else can be done to maybe encourage more women? What do you think?
One thing is one good thing you already did is I don't know who, somebody posted in the Larabelles Discord, right? That's when I actually got to know that the applications are open. So we could encourage more people in the community, in the Discord server, especially for women. And somebody might not come out and say that they want to submit a talk, but they're probably imposter syndrome, or they're scared for some reason. They feel they're not eligible to apply, something like that. So we could encourage a little more and let them know that when we are first time speakers, that still we made it. It's not all that bad.
Yeah.
So maybe one-on-one support if required.
What about you, Diana?
I think I also have problems with imposter syndrome. So I never thought about applying to any conference because what have I to talk about? Because I'm just a bit of a developer and that's it. And I'm not special and whatever. What you're thinking if you're into this imposter syndrome. And I think it's quite good if we just exchange our experience. And I think like a mentoring program that is also planned for Larabelles, if I'm right, just to share that, okay, I did the talk there and it was not that horrible and everybody was excited about it, and just that it's not that special to give a talk, that it's just a thing that you do as a dev. And I think every dev who wants to do it should have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I think we sometimes, well, probably in my case, a lot of the time overthink it, and you think, oh, it's so big. And yes, Laracon is a big thing, but at the end of the day, in the big scheme of things, it's 10 minutes of our life, or 30 minutes, depends. And yeah, I think we should. So when I submitted the talk, it was the same thing. I saw the form on our Discord channel. So maybe this is, Ian, for you to know that maybe make sure that people see the form. Like, I don't, the problem with Twitter is that on Twitter things get buried so quickly. So you post something, and unless it catches traction and people retweet stuff, you will not see it. And sometimes even things that other people comment on, I don't see it unless somebody, I don't know, I don't understand the Twitter algorithm. But yeah, it wasn't until March from Titan posted it on Discord, then we knew about it. And to overcome my imposter syndrome, I just submitted a talk within like 10 minutes. I did not think about it at all. Like, I opened the form, and the first idea that popped up, it's probably not the best one. So if I don't get picked, I'm not gonna blame you. But I just wanted to do it anyway, because if I left it and I thought about it too much, I probably would have talked myself out of it. But instead, I just opened the form and read it and filled it in and submitted. And I was like, at least I submitted it. Whatever happens, but at least I submitted it. So
you got to take that step, that's a huge.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Well, I think it all kind of gets back to, like being on top of this very early, like getting out there early, like Larabelle News covered it, like if somebody posted in Discord, like, when you start early, then it's just easier for it to spread and get into all the different communities. So I think that's kind of like the thing, that just having that time is and that's something I'm sure we're going to just keep doing going forward, is like right after the conference, just do the talk submissions for the next conference and see what part of it off in the past a little too is that Laracon Online had previously only been once a year. So it didn't really make sense to start speaker submissions right after the last conference, because you're not going to, it's like a year away. So it seems it's too early to ask for a speaker submission. So we weren't really used to geared up that way right away. But then with COVID, and we took over summer conference too, which was traditionally the in-person conference. So now it's every 6 months, so that's a lot different. So now, and who knows? It's we're not even sure ourselves like what's going to happen with when the live comes back. Like does Laracon Online just go back to once a year? Do we keep Laracon Online twice a year? Because like you said, in the beginning, it's still expensive for people to fly and to travel, all that stuff. Like there's still all the downsides of a live conference. There are upsides of a live conference. But there are downsides. Obviously, can't it's hard for a lot of people to attend. So anyway, we might still keep, or we might not, whatever the case may be. But yeah, just figuring the flow and having it early and all that stuff, I think is just really cool. Also, this network's working better, so this is good.
Welcome back. Well, it's still a little bit choppy, but welcome back.
At least we
Okay.
can hear you. If not, even if
better.
your video freezes.
Right.
Would it help if you
Right.
turn off the video? Do you think it would help, or would it not help? I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, there's Alexios.
Got
Alexios
it.
is asking if submission with topic or instantly with full presentation. So the form that we submitted, it was just I think like a short description of the topic, what the idea of what you would like to talk about, not the full presentation. But how do you make sure? That's
No,
actually
not the full
interesting.
presentation.
No, how do you make sure that somebody submitted a description, but the actual talk ends up being something else? What would you do in that case? Has it ever happened?
Not exactly like that. Sometimes people have an idea initially, and then that idea evolves. So that happens sometimes, and then we work with them on that. But we've never had like somebody just have a whole different talk or anything like that. Totally different. So yeah, but we wouldn't want people to submit whole talks because like you're doing a talk right, it's a lot of work. And so like we definitely never want anybody to put in all that work and then you don't get selected and then you have a talk that you're not going to give, right? So and that's why also one of the things Laracon does that's different too is we do pay all the speakers just because we want to, we value your time, right? And we want you to put in that effort. And we respect that effort and we think you should be paid for that effort. So kind of a nice little addition, I think, too, is that to have the speaker fees kind of just helps.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's
to it.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of conferences, when they were in person, they would offer like travel expenses, but not necessarily pay for the time of the speaker. But right. So because there's no travel expenses, and then you offer the compensation to the speaker, it is a nice thing. It does make you think twice well, not in my case because I applied within 10 minutes. I would understand, think that you really want to make it worth it. Honestly, I don't want to put my talk down because I think my idea is good. I just want to put it out there. I'm not saying it's rubbish. I'm just saying that in order to submit it, I had to do it quickly. So that's my way of doing it.
So this is good advice. Everybody listening, just go out right after this and submit this right now. First idea that comes in your head, just go with it. Why not? There's no downside. Worst thing that happens is you don't get picked, and fine. Who cares? Like, no big deal.
Yeah.
And obviously you might get picked, and then that's great. So.
And then you really have to think about the way. Say again? Say again, Ian. What did you just say?
Actually, think about the talk. Is this better? No video.
I think it's better. There was a few bits that I didn't hear, but overall it's better. Thank you.
Yeah, so Ian, I have a question.
Awesome.
Go on, Shruti.
Yeah, Ian. So whoever gets picked, do you have talk rehearsal or something like that? Do you go over the whole speaking before a few days before the talk or something? How does it work?
We don't go the whole talk. We do in the weeks up to like what I call tech check, like what we did before this, where we kind of get on the Zoom and make sure all your tech's okay. And then as part of that, I'm always checking in to make sure talk okay and how you're feeling about the talk and if there's any questions or anything like that. But no, I don't generally go through the whole talk. I would certainly be happy to. So whether it's we do it at check and you actually go do the talk, or you record the talk and send it over, and then I could give feedback, I'd be happy to do anything like that for sure for any of the speakers. But it's not something that's kind of built in as part
I think
of
this
the
will hopefully
process
be
currently.
something that Larabelles will offer in the future. That to have somebody watch your talk, like without having to present it to the whole Laravel world. You can just do it to few people, like what Caleb does on Twitter. Like just say whoever wants to come and watch our talk. You don't even have to go on Twitter and ask people. I think the Discord channel, while it's small, but the fact that we have the space away from Twitter, away from like the public eye, I think it helps people, at least that's my experience, helps people to kind of share things that we might not necessarily share online. So I think that we will definitely offer it. I just need to get together like a team of people. We don't even need to have a team. Like really, if you have a talk you want to have someone to see, just tell us, and there will definitely always be somebody who will say, okay, let's watch it. Because why not?
Yeah.
I mean, so definitely something we will offer, or we already, Diana, do you have any questions?
Yeah, no, that's going to be.
It's funny. Every time Ian starts talking and then it cuts off and we just wait. Is it going to pick up or not? I don't know. Is he there?
I'm here. I thought Diana was asking a question. I was just waiting.
Go, keep breathing, Ian. Keep breathing. That's important.
I'm here.
Yeah, this is
I'm
just
here.
like hypothetical, because you said before you're not sure how Laracon online is going to be if the whole COVID thing is hopefully gone. And I was thinking, to be honest, it's not good for the climate to fly all over the planet to attend like one conference and then fly home again. And even if I'd love to do it at least one time, do you think this has any influence on conferences in general? Like not only climate, but I think a lot of people will be like more scared of getting infected with whatever is going to be next.
Right. Well,
hopefully
just
nothing.
anecdotally, every conference, both conferences I ran for Laracon, and then many other conferences I've attended, I'm the person who always gets sick. I mean, always, every single time I get sick at a conference. So in that regard, I don't miss the live conferences. But I guess I think that probably once COVID settles down, there's going to be a huge explosion of live conferences, honestly, because I think it's like a lot of people vacation work pays for, and I think people are going to go, and people miss being around the other people and all that stuff. So I think there's actually going to be a lot of live conferences, would be my guess. Whether or not, now I do think there is still the element of like, have people realize that they can reach many more people with the online conference, and so made it be that like you still like Laracon Online was like one of the few online tech conferences before COVID, and now obviously there's more. So some of those new ones, stay online or be partially online or something like that, so that you can reach more people around the world. I think that would seem likely, because there's just obviously a lot of advantages to having an online conference. So I think that's definitely possible. But I do think in-person conferences are probably going to come back pretty strongly, would be my guess.
Do you think we could have like a hybrid, so have like in-person conference, but also have it streamed to people elsewhere? Do you think that would be possible? Has it been considered?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's been sometimes, I think Laracon was even streamed once or twice, but streaming an in-person conference is actually pretty complicated and expensive, because like a lot of times the venues require you to use their vendors, and their vendor charge $40 to stream the conference for 2 days and things like that. But what I've been kind of is actually maybe like a hybrid, possibly, but where the online part is just like what we do with Laracon Online. Like, it's not that you're streaming people on a stage, it's the online part is fully online. Now, maybe the speakers go to the live conference. So like the speakers are all together or something, and then you stream. We do Laracon Online still, and then like so like the first 2 days are Laracon Online, and then the back 2 days are Laracon Live, and it's sort of like connected, even though they're separate. Something I don't know. I think there's some hybrid there. Maybe that's not just streaming the talks on stage. But I don't know.
So that's
Yeah,
good
I
to
mean,
know,
some
because
conferences do
I
stream
didn't
the
realize
talks.
it's so complicated too. I thought you just put a camera in the audience and record the talk.
Yeah.
But obviously,
Well, it also depends a lot too on like your venue. Like some venues like just won't allow, like just literally won't let you just pop a camera up and stream. Like you have to, they want a cut of the action. But that's not always true. Like some would let you just do it and they wouldn't care. But again, like it's sort of weird because of the stage, like just one camera there, it's not gonna it's gonna come off kind of, it's just not gonna come off well, I think, because like people are moving around the stage. Like you end up needing multiple cameras for what's going on stage to make sense, because like people might walk out of the camera view and now you can't see anything, or you're trying to show their slides but the person's just this little tiny head like way off in the distance, and so like you end up needing like 3 or 4 cameras to properly do it. And so then it's like you need 3 or 4 camera operators, and you need somebody to pick which stream streamed, and like it just becomes like this big complicated thing that isn't true of like a pure online version.
Yeah, it definitely looks more complicated than I realized. Sorry, we lost you for a moment again. Sorry, I feel terrible for like jumping in, and then you keep talking.
No, do it.
I'm really sorry about that.
I'm gonna hide for a minute or two here, and then I'll come back.
Just every now and then, just say that you are there. See, but this is exactly what we talk about. Like we don't know if you're there. Like this is the problem with virtual conferences. we look at each other, but are you there? Are you listening? It's so hard.
You gotta have faith. Have faith.
So Ian, what would you do if such a situation? So if something like that happened in the conference for the speaker, what do you suggest? What do you do?
Yeah, it's not fun. So I think this last one we sort of had a bit of an issue there. With Christoph had a little bit of a technical issue at one point where his Zoom was crashing, but I don't really have to answer. I'm sort of thinking of this idea. I talked to Matt Stauffer actually about maybe having like Matt Stauffer in a can, where like if there's an emergency, I can just open Matt Stauffer and he comes out with like a little emergency 20-minute talk type of thing. But it's online, so I also kind of feel like, hey, everybody just go get something to eat for 20 minutes because like the speaker's team isn't working, and then we're gonna come back and it'll be fine and we'll do the next year. So while I wouldn't, it wouldn't be my favorite, I also think it's not the end of the world. The end of the world is if this happens, what's going on with me right now happens during Laracon. That would be kind of a disaster because everything goes through my computer. So if my computer and network, this is where I do Laracon Online. So I don't know what the hell is going on, but if we had this during Laracon, this would be very stressful. But even then, my plan, I still prefer the online, because the reality is what I would just ultimately say, like if the internet was just not working or there was some other issue, I would just say, listen, it's canceled till tomorrow and we're going to do it tomorrow or whatever, a couple days from now. The speakers can come back.
Yeah. Now we lost you now. Hold on.
If venue has a flood, oh no. If venue has like a flood, then the conference is just over, right? So I still think the online there's fallback plans, but it would not be fun. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean so are your talks always live? The one on online, or are any of them pre-recorded?
Yeah. No, and I actually think that's super important. This is one of our rules, is that they're all live, because I just think that brings the energy. Otherwise, what are we? Like then we're like, are we like Laracasts? Like are we just doing like videos. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like that's what makes this different. Is it's live. Like you can feel that energy that like I'm transitioning to people and they're here talking with me and stuff like that. I think that's really important to make it feel like a conference and like an event as opposed to just a series of videos that are, you know, played where I'm just pushing the play button and it's kind of boring. So yeah, live is required for sure.
Yeah, I watched. I well attended the View conference that was on 2 weeks ago, I think, and they had their talks recorded. But during that talk, that speaker was then in the chat talking to people, so it was a different approach. It was interesting, but yeah, I mean, at first people were like, "That's recorded." I mean, but when they realized that the person was actually in chat talking to them, answering questions, that in a way that was also
right.
But,
That is a different. Yeah,
approach,
it's something that's possible. Yeah. I do like that. If you're gonna do it recorded, I do like that idea. I don't know. I like the energy. I like the lot. I don't know. Like just even running it. Like I don't want to be here just push and play, push and play, push and play. Like, nah. Like it's not. That doesn't seem that interesting to me. So we'll do it live, and we'll see how it goes. I'm sure. You know, you have your hiccups. It's all right.
I wanted to, because we are almost reaching the hour, I just wanted to wrap up saying, like, what do you all think we can do for the future to make it easier for women? So I think we've covered a little bit, and I've got a few notes here. So if you like, just add to it. So I think one of my notes was that you should invite women speakers early. If you're going to approach somebody personally, try to do it as early as possible, because once you already have a list of speakers online, and most of them are men, and then you approach women, it does feel like an afterthought or like a damage control. So I think it's if you do approach females personally, do that as early as possible, so that they don't feel like, oh, we are just, just to tick a box. So that would be
right. Yeah,
my idea, one of my suggestions. Diana, do you have anything you would like to add?
Sure.
Yeah, just I don't know if you remember, there was the BabbleTech conference planned earlier that year. I think you just wanted to speak there as well. And I think there was something, they only had men as speakers, except you, of course. And I think Steve was reaching out to me if I wanted to speak, because he had a slot, I think, or some of the men speakers that okay, I would give my slot for a woman or someone else. And I was like, okay, yes, I'm in it. I had an idea for a talk. It was not about Laravel, but more generic, but I had an idea and already started preparing in my mind. And then there was like, not really a shitstorm on Twitter, but some people like, no, why are you just taking her as a speaker? This is just for, I don't know, just getting around that you only had men before and something like that. And I didn't even care, to be honest. I was totally fine with that. And I think you should just watch out that this doesn't happen anymore. If you have submissions for talks and you see, okay, I only have men submitting talk, maybe reach out, but kind of private to developers, female or diversity developers, and just ask them if they want to, if it's like for the topic, just not random ask anyone, like asking me to talk about, I don't know, SAP or something would be totally nonsense. But I think you should just watch out that this doesn't happen.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's where like getting started early is so important. And
yes.
We already have like a number of great talk submissions from women. I think we'll have more hopefully after this, and as the process continues to play out. So I feel really good about Laracon in this regard for this year for sure. But yeah, I mean, I think, to me, it's more interesting. Not even the comp, like the comp is fine, but I think that to me, I'm more interested in just building up the women in the community in general, right? Like, because ultimately, like, okay, the conference, okay, we can represent and have women speakers, super important to helping that. But I also think it's like bigger than that, right? Like, it's just like, that's where like the Larabelles is so great, because like just bringing the women out into every aspect of the community, not like just the conference, but just continue to grow that the whole community, I think is super important. And it is hard, like in tech, it is like there's a lot of male dominant, a lot of tech. So there's a lot to be kind of a leader here and start that change. I think some community. So
Shruti, have you got anything you would like to suggest as a parting words?
Yeah, I think both of you quite summed it up. We'll just see, because there are such less women in the community itself, so you can't expect a better ratio of speakers. So maybe we should work from ground up, like we should bring in more developers first, and then slowly the number of speakers will also increase.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just wait. We should wait a couple of years and see this grow.
Yeah, I do hope things will change.
Well,
I mean, I've already. Yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say, I do think it's one of these things where, like, you need both, right? Like, I think I'm not an expert here, but to me, it feels like having, women at the conferences, having them take prominent roles in the community in different ways, then fosters women coming into the community, right? And then obviously, then you have a fly with like more women in the community means more people to speak, and like then like all that comes out of once you do it. So I think like we got to work on both ends at the same time is how I kind of view it.
Definitely. I think it would be nice to see maybe in a year's time how things have changed, because like I'm not tracking any, like I don't have any statistics when it comes to Larabelles. I mean, I can see how many people join the newsletter and how many people I can feature in the newsletter. But other than that, I would like to, like I said, in a year's time to ask somebody like you, maybe Ian, like somebody who's been doing it for a while, to see whether you have noticed any difference. Because that's probably I'm gonna ask you in a year's time. Expect an email from me.
This is a huge difference right here. This is different. We're experiencing the difference right here, right? Like I think this is great. Like it's already making a difference.
I'm glad.
This wouldn't be happening, right? So we're doing the difference right now. So I think in a year I expect it to be bigger. But yeah, it'll be fun to get back together, hopefully with better internet on my end. do this again in a year.
Yeah, but I think we've managed well. Thank you so much, everyone. I think it was really informative. It was really interesting to hear everyone's experiences, and now I know more about what goes into organizing a conference. And I hope that our talk will help other women to apply. There's still time to apply, right? Submit talk, Ian, until when is the deadline?
May 14th.
Okay,
so time.
Please do, and either you choose my approach, which means just apply, or you choose Diana's approach, which means think about it.
Right now.
I don't know, Shruti, where do you fall? I don't know. How long did you take to think about it?
Somewhere in between.
Yeah, so just do it, and even if you don't get picked up, at least you've done the first step. You've submitted one talk, and you can't lose really. So thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
yes. This was great.
I just want to say, if anybody has questions, definitely email me, ian@userscape.com, or I'm on Twitter or all other places. So definitely, anybody have any concerns or anything or questions about the product that we didn't cover, just let me know.
Will do. See you, everyone.
Sure. All right.
See you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.